All right, Fox News alert, back to Arizona, and all new information right now in the Nancy Guthrie case. So in the last few minutes, TMZ is reporting they just received a third email from someone who says he knows the identity of Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper, and now he wants to up his price. He wants the increased $100,000 FBI reward. There's another interesting thing about this email, according to TMZ. Quote, there's another important change. He says when he gets the initial payment, he'll give up the name of the main individual. Referring to the main individual clearly suggests there are accomplices. So that is all new and very interesting, and it comes amid new questions about how this investigation is being handled. A source tells Fox the FBI has been blocked from key access to evidence, but Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is pushing back, telling our Matt Finn that's false.
It's not even close to accurate. First of all, we don't hold information from anybody that's going to help us. Why would we do that? There are no egos here. This is all about finding Nancy. That's all it is. There's a great love here for Miss Guthrie, and everybody wants her back. That's the goal. That should be the goal. These little stories of infighting is ridiculous.
Nanos also addressing another claim that a glove was found inside Guthrie's home. He says, not true.
Never took the glove out of that house. We have DNA from various sources in the house. We knew that, but we knew that when we processed the scene that there was a chance to recover DNA. That has proven to be the case with our labs reporting back to us. But we have no glove. We never had a glove in that house.
Okay.
We never found glove on that property.
There's also been rumors, allegations swirling online pointing the finger at members of the Guthrie family, and Sheriff Nanos taking that on directly, calling out the speculation.
The whole family has my number. That was part of this too. It was just getting crazy out there with the accusations about the family. Come on, people. You can't accuse people of a horrific crime like that and not have any facts behind it.
All right, CEO of National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases and host of Crime Reconstructed Podcast, Morgan Wright, joins me now. Morgan, thanks for being with me. Let's just pick up on that most recent piece of information, a third note to TMZ, with a tipster upping his financial reward request, saying he could point the finger at the main person involved in this crime. The question is whether or not any of this is legitimate, whether or not anything here is real. Anyone could send a note into TMZ.
Right. Well, when's the last time you saw a streaker at a football game? You know why they quit televising that? Because it encouraged bad behavior. It encouraged even more streakers. So the more you publicize these notes, the more they will get done. Look, I used to teach behavior analysis. I used to teach interview and interrogation for the NSA, for the FBI, state and local. One of the things we were always concerned about is this is really in a sense a copycat crime. So what you're getting is somebody they're living vicariously through the misery of others. They're getting a thrill because their note is getting read on TV. What we have to do, the other thing is distraction. So as I evaluated this, and I look at this and I simply look at it from a first principle standpoint, does it meet the threshold evidentiary wise that it's actually a ransom communication? If you really wanted money and if you had the information, you'd go to 1-800-CALL-FBI. You'd give the information. You call Crime Stoppers here in Pima County. The only reason, Will, they're going to TMZ or media outlets is for some kind of a self-validation, and they want this information out. So as a detective, I would look at it and I would go, yeah, it's not a ransom note. It's a communication. It's a bad one. And I hope whoever this is, that the FBI comes down on them, okay, with a bag of rocks.
All right. I want to ask you a couple of other what you called first principle type questions, but one more granular question. There's another Ring camera video that's circulating. Okay, and again, it's TMZ reporting that law enforcement is looking at this man. It's from the Tucson area, 6.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, about a week before Nancy Guthrie was taken. It's from another doorbell camera. I would imagine these are trickling in. I would imagine because they've asked the public's help for all of this. But once again, I would assume, Morgan, it's going to be one of these deals where, like yesterday, we had one and it turned out not to be a suspect. It's going to be right. That. I'm not suggesting this isn't, but your batting average is going to be low, but that's sort of the point.
Yeah, I can tell you, Will, working cases and stuff, you never batted 1,000 on a case. You would rather have more tips than fewer tips. But at some point, we're reaching informational entropy. We're reaching overload. We've got so much information, our ability to process it is going down, so the tempo of the case starts slowing down. Now, with videos like this, I would take everything seriously, but here's what we have. We have the video of the known suspect that's been analyzed. We know height, weight pretty closely. We know mannerisms and things like that. So now we have something, a central point that is conclusive that we can say now we can compare it against other things. So just kind of tied into first principles. Now I have something to compare it against. What I want to do is put constraints on my thinking, eliminate the bias and say, does this match, right? And if it doesn't, then I need to discard it. But more information, more evidence is not necessarily going to solve this case. I think we have all the information we need right now, but we need to focus on the information we have, interpret it correctly, and then really just drill down. It's going to be hard police work, I'm telling you. Well, it's going to be slogging it through it. It's going to be interviews. It's going to be knocking on doors. That's what's going to solve this case. Local knowledge is going to solve this case because somebody in Tucson knows who this guy is.
Here's the first principle question I wanted to ask you, and I spent some time researching this today. Forgive me if my statistics are just a little bit off or they're broad-brushed strokes here. But most of these types of crimes, and the sheriff is saying he's treating it as a kidnapping, okay? So not as a homicide, he's saying as a kidnapping. From my understanding, the vast majority of these, something like 70%, are solved within the first 72 hours. At the far outreach, within the first week or two. We're really beyond that time frame. We're right at the end of 2 weeks here. If you have all the evidence that you need, as you suggest, and now it just takes putting it in its right place and analyzing it, why? Why are we now at the far end of this timeline where we have to start thinking about this very different than how all these others are solved?
Well, that's a tough question. I know everybody says we want to hold out hope, but at some point, if you're an investigator, you've got to be very clinical about this. When I did crime scenes, I may work crime scenes with children who were killed, suicides, but you have to compartmentalize that. You have to follow the facts. We're at a point now, when I would be called in to work a suicide, we didn't work it as a suicide. We worked it as a homicide because you never knew where the facts of the case were going to take you. At some point, and it's a term of art too, Will. The other thing he said, it's a kidnapping. The question is, was it a kidnapping for ransom? We're not at that level yet. Technically, when you take somebody from their house under force, through force or threat of force, that's kidnapping. So that is technically correct. It's not technically correct yet that it was a kidnap for ransom. And so at some point, I would say that investigators need to start treating this as a no-body homicide, investigate it that way. I know it's not the news everybody wants to hear, but look, you take the world as you find it, not as you wish it was. And this is what's going to bring this case to resolution. At this point, we have to resolve this case. The longer it goes on, to your point, statistics show you, the tougher it becomes to solve the case. Why? Informational overload, information entropy. We just get so much, we collect more and more, process less and less. That's what really hurts investigations.
Okay. Really good. Thank you, Morgan.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.